Hey guys, welcome back. Maverick here with episode 8 of 86. So, last episode we had some pretty nice development in regards to revealing the true nature of the 86 of the Spearheads, right? So, they are basically a unit sent to die. To be honest, it wasn't all that surprising. I mean, it only makes sense looking at the way that the Elbas are treating them all the way up to this point. And the writing was clearly there on the wall. It's just whether or not you choose to confront it or not, as Lena clearly hasn't yet. I don't think so. To me, there's no real big change in how I'm perceiving this. Now, again, the dialogue and the setting and whatnot is fantastic. Just as a more meta discussion. But what's going to be interesting from here on out is how Lena is going to choose to deal with this situation, right? So is she going to become much more radical in her approach, really trying to stir up trouble back at home, back at the capital and whatnot? And then, of course, how exactly is she going to try and maneuver the Spearheads out of these suicide missions and whatnot, of which one I think they're still on right now, right? They need to assault the base and whatnot. And I have a feeling that HQ isn't really going to take no for an answer. So, let's see how exactly they go about with this revelation. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, the 27th. He's like, you're caring for her now, right? But seriously, that is scary though. So that means that the Swarm is actually doing actual R&D at the same time, right? They're evolving, and not just from a tactical, strategic, tactical perspective. Not just in the way that they approach the battlefields and approach the war, but also in that they're, sort of developing and using new weaponry as well. Ooh. That was a nice shot over there. So again, I'm still thinking that probably the resolution to this has to be like some sort of injected virus, or some sort of corruption into the swarm, into the hive mind. Um, or of course, removing the commanders, right? Which is like Shin's brother and whatnot. And heck, it might even be a mix of these two, right? Like maybe use the brother as a sort of entry point to corrupt the swarm and bring them down. But obviously, I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. That if that even comes to pass in that kind of method, that'd be like way later into the series. First, they'd probably need to survive this situation first, and Lena needs to find a way to deal with how she wants to go forward with this situation. Alright. These aren't even classified? Or, I mean, I would have thought that these orders and whatnot would be classified at a higher level than she has access to. But whatever. It's not. So is she actually repressing her own? They're not albums? Yeah. So basically she's repressing herself, basically. Ooh. Osana Mabichi. Osana Namichi. Probably a romance as well. Yeah. They are taking a lot of inspiration from Nazi Germany. Yeah. Although, in all honesty, that if they are making, references to Nazi Germany, if they actually did it, most probably they would all be. Hmm? Wait, it's. Don't tell me it's. So this is the basis of the parade, right? Huh. They're even making this reference as well. So this actually also happened as a result of World War II as well. Again, with Nazi Germany and whatnot, due to utilizing Jews as human experimentation, German scientists actually made a lot of advancement in terms of medical technologies and whatnot. A lot of research which later on was seized by the Allied powers, right? Which led to advancements in scientific sectors all around the world. Alright. So now Lena needs to convince her first. I mean, that's kind of... I know she's trying to justify herself and whatnot, but that makes no sense at all. But anyways, damn, they're really trying to draw out this, right? Nope. Who gave it to her? September 10th. This is like a full almost 2 weeks. So that isn't the will of the people, right? Yeah. So once again, this is like... Man. You know, at this point, they are absolutely trying to... Hold on. You said, I don't think we'll ever be ready. I do kind of wonder what would happen if the 86 just completely go rogue. Like, then what? And in fact, another thing that I'm really questioning is, do they really just allow the processors and controllers to have direct communication without actually tapping into them? because their feelings are kind of synced, right? Huh? Buy you that much time for what? Wait, that last part. What? What? And I am loving this so much. You know, I know that I may be talking over a lot of the more emotional points and whatnot, but that doesn't stop me from being really impressed with the way that they're making the entire story and playing it out. One day. Yeah. This is the day they were supposed to all be released. How? What I... What I'm really trying hard to figure out right now is how exactly they're gonna get out of this situation. Like, wow. I mean, Lena's clearly powerless to do anything. Wait, there's not only 5 left, right? Aren't there a few more left? Oh wait, or was that because I haven't really completely learned their names yet. So these 5 are the only ones left, right? They went on more sorties, more missions during this 3-4 weeks in between. I think that's what yeah, because he oh I mean, I told you guys, right? I said I think most probably they're all gonna die. Except for Shin, who might survive a little bit longer. But honestly, I think he'll die at the very end as well. At the end of the series, I mean. I have a feeling she's probably gonna call at the very end here. Yeah. Aw, this is... Right, so the engineering team stays behind, right? So they probably look through... They probably sent off many already. Wow. I'm actually kind of tearing up right now. You know, more than anything that's just, you know, purely emotional and whatnot. It seems like this one. Just the sheer resolve and whatnot. Holy shit. Oh, sorry, I'm having to mute the actual sounds for this episode because there's too much background music going on. Oh, no. I think there's a little bit more after the end here. Wow. I mean, this is such a good story. And such a good adaptation as well. Like, holy crap. Alright. There's a bit more after the end here. Why would it be his fault? Ooh. Wow. He still has this much conscience within him? Okay, I'm a little bit more meh on that entire brother story front. I mean, that's a little bit too over the top for me, but anyways, see you guys after this. Wow, this episode, man, I love it so much. I know it seems kind of morbid that to be having this big of a smile on my face with such a despair, such an episode of despair and whatnot. But the thing about it is that I love it because the despair is very realistic, right? It's not coming from a very forced kind of situation or whatnot. It's very grounded in reality and really grounded in its logicalness, and I love it, right? Because there's too many times when things are, when there's like forced sadness or forced situations within fiction that really just I look at it and I'm just like, look, you're just trying to make this into a situation that's driving that's, how can I say it? It's an artificial kind of sadness, all right. Whereas in this place, I'm just like, wow, everything coming together. It's just amazing, and it's amazing that it's also being very it's being very hidden with what is going on as well, right? Like, for instance, that ending scene there with the rest of the spearheads and whatnot, the only 5 remaining, right? Originally I was like, huh, what actually happened? But then it clicked on me. I think one reason is also that I didn't really completely memorize all of the spearheads' names. Sorry on that part, but there's just like way too many names. And the second thing is because they all talked about it so nonchalantly that I didn't even recognize it at first. But basically, the scene where Shin was holding the box and adding some more names to it, that's basically the rest of between the ending of last episode and the ending of this episode. All the others have died. These 5 are the only ones that are left here, right? It's just this kind of subtleness that's really, really amazing. And then to have this kind of ending here, they're all smiling and whatnot, but they're counting down towards their certain death here. And I don't know, I just love the entire how can I call it, the contrast of the situation, and just it's so great, right? This is the kind of scene that you would find in like epic movies, and I'm talking about epic not as in the more in the literary kind of term here, right? You think about you think about like stuff like Lord of the Rings, right? That's what's called an epic, right? When they're riding out to war and whatnot, facing insurmountable odds, those kinds of situations, and to have this kind of display, not overtly so in either kind of direction, just a subtle way of expressing it. I absolutely love it, right? So that was done beautifully. And then the entire parallel between Nazi Germany here, right? As a sort of history nerd here, I do enjoy a lot how they try to incorporate a lot of the same situations from Nazi Germany here into this this anime right here, this kind of setting here, right? Referring to the Republic, the Republic and the army, the government condemning the 86, wanting them to die, and sort of constituting it as the will of the people, right? That is so similar to the how Nazi Germany rose as well, right? Because Hitler came to power through an election, right? Now, of course, there are people who argue, maybe they fake some events to gain popularity or whatnot, but at the end of the day, he still won it through a popular vote, right? And then he came to power, and then later on, the rest is history. Forgive the pun, but no, it's the exact same here as the Republic, right? Obviously, they're a republic, and it seems that they have some sort of elected government here as well, right? And the government calls the shots, the army serves the government, the government is supposed to be a representation of the people, the army serves the government, serves the people, that kind of logic there. I'm not saying that it's right or anything, but in a way, this is exactly how Nazi Germany came to be, and how the people within it all rationalize it within themselves, right? How did the Nazi army, the armed forces rationalize it within themselves, including the high command and whatnot? How did the people choose to look at the situation? How they turned a blind eye and what? Well, I guess most people didn't really understand what was going on in the concentration camps and all that, but they still willingly allowed all the Jews to be taken away and so on and so forth. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not a guy who tries to look at it and condemn people for stuff that's happened generations ago, right? To me, that never made any sense, and that includes some controversies in modern day as well, particularly like those. I'm not gonna get into it because I feel like that kind of gets into politics as well, but I just find it fascinating how much they take the same situation that happened there and put it in here as well, right? I do enjoy this sort of reference here. And indeed, human experimentation, right? Using the 86 as human experiments in order to perfect the technique of parades. That also draws into, you know, what Nazi Germany and indeed what the Japanese were actually doing as well towards wartime criminals and, well, I guess wartime prisoners and whatnot, right? So I made a reference to, of course, the Nazi experiments. In Japan, there's this really infamous unit called Unit 731 that also did a lot of this kind of human research and whatnot. It's debated still, you know, whether or not there's any actual valuable contribution to the furtherment of human medicine and whatnot. But, you know, as with these things, I feel like a lot of times, you know, people are also quick to distance it due to, you know, political repercussions as well. So I don't think there's a really clear. Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much on the outcome of that, right? I'm just gonna say that you know, those things happened, and clearly, you know, it makes perfect sense here as well. In order to perfect this kind of technique and using human experimentation to do that, you know, completely imaginable, completely logical as well, given the circumstances. You know, the entire scene with Lena's friend here, right? Like how this actually works, and you know, how she. You know, how her heart is also broken due to, you know, the her neighbor, right? That little kid and whatnot. And in fact, I'm actually thinking whether or not that is Shin and his brother, right? But maybe it is, maybe it's not. That's not the point here. But the helplessness of that situation there, right? And the sort of peer pressure that you face, and so forcing you to also do something that you don't really want as well, right? You know, peer pressure, this kind of public opinion kind of thing, also was a major factor in how you know, the regime in Nazi Germany came to power, and why the people were all complicit in it and whatnot, right? Why the general public were all complicit, because of things such as social and peer pressure as well. You know, it's just, I just find it fascinating here, right? You know, in retrospect, I probably should have noticed this a lot more earlier, maybe even back in episode 2 or something. I think I noticed it in episode 5? But, you know, it's clear right now, you know, what exactly the series is drawing its inspiration from, and you know, probably trying to basically, we can treat it as a sort of alternate history kind of situation here, right? If we, you know, they just simply change the names, change the backgrounds and whatnot, but this is more of a what if situation, as in, you know, how could Nazi Germany could have been toppled from the ranks within during that time and whatnot, right? Is there anything they could have done to reverse the situation, and so on and so forth? So yeah, so what exactly can we do here? I don't really know, right? I think the first order of operation is still for Lena to first convince her friend, right? You need to get some allies first. I think I mentioned this already in the past few episodes as well. There's nothing that can be gained by just going around and bothering a lot of people and saying, hey, look at this, listen to me, and whatnot. That's not going to work, right? As much as her heart is in the right place, she needs her brain to be in the right place as well. I think convincing her friend that, you know, that's the first step. She's in the know of a lot of things, and she also has a very clear head as well. They can start you know, gathering more people to their cause, and gradually formulating, gaining manpower, gaining resources, formulating a plan in order to reverse this situation. Probably one thing that will have to happen is that the truth must be revealed, right? Even though a lot of see here's the sort of hypocrisy the commander was exhibiting there, right? Because on one hand he's saying, hey, this is the will of the people, because it's the will of the government, etc., etc. But at the same time, you know, he understands that, hey, this is atrocity that you can actually make public, right? Well, if you can't make public this, then it's not really the will of the people, right? So that's where the logic does kind of falls off. And so I think that is the link that Lena needs to drive into, right? She needs to make these things public at the correct time in order to incite probably a second revolution, throw out all these people in power, and reform the government, reform the entire situation as well, right? Now, whether or not that happens before they get rid of this, you know, the armed conflict with the Empire or after, that remains to be seen, right? We'll have to see how exactly they plan to handle that entire situation first, which I do reckon will probably be very important in the next few episodes as well, as the rest of the spearheads march to their death. And again, called it, they're all gonna die, except for maybe Shin, right? And maybe at most one or two others who are more important in a way, but even that is just prolonging it. I still have my suspicion that Shin might die at the very end there. I feel like that would just that would make this situation complete. But then again, we people do like happy endings and whatnot, so I can't really fault the offer if he decides to allow Shin to survive all the way to the very end there. But I'm just saying, I personally, I feel like it would be entirely reasonable for them to all die out as well, and for Lena to carry on her legacy, their legacy, and carry on the fight, and so on and so forth, right? So yeah. Basically, this is such a gem of a season. I originally came into it with, like, okay, it's kind of like a mecha-inspired, military-inspired kind of stuff. We might be having some sort of, looking at the synopsis and whatnot, we might be having some sort of it kind of reminds me of some other military series I've done before, where people were prejudiced against, like No Guns Live. I view that as well, talking about like the augmented people, and versus normal people, that kind of situation, and having no use for these augmented soldiers at the end of the war. I thought it was more that kind of situation, but to have it be based on historical events, and stuff that really actually happened. It's just so well grounded, right? And the development is so well grounded. All the parts flow into each other. Some parts that I still have questions of, they've been gradually answering a lot of my questions, and indeed it is all with logical explanations as well, right? I mean, even at the end there, I was talking about like Shin's brother and how I felt like that was kind of over the top. I mean, I guess, he clearly knows it himself that what he did was wrong, right? He simply snapped at the situation, and certainly I can understand, someone kind of going crazy and all that. Although that really to me is a little bit more headed towards the sort of like really contrived, very artificial kind of situation there. So that's why I didn't like it that much. But even that, it at least had you can imagine the build up to that sort of situation, right? And then also as well as at that very end there, the will of the brother character continuing on, wanting to reunite with Shin and all that. So yeah, just absolutely great. I am definitely enjoying this series a lot. Hope you guys are as well, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.